Hello and welcome to the Learn English Easy podcast.
Hello.
I am your host, and, well, I'm that curious friend who always has way too many tabs open in their browser.
I can attest to that.
And a stack of books on the nightstand that is, I think, a genuine structural risk at this point.
And I'm your co-host, here to, hopefully help you organize some of those tabs.
Alice?
And make some sense of that book stack. I'm the one who likes to connect the dots and look for the patterns, the why behind the what.
Okay, so let's unpack this. I want to start with the foundation. If we're building a good life, we need a blueprint, right?
You do.
And it feels like whenever you ask that question, what is the good life, all roads eventually lead back to one guy.
They usually do. Aristotle.
Aristotle.
He's sort of the grandfather of virtue ethics. And for him, the starting point wasn't a set of rules. It wasn't, a list of do this, don't do that.
Right.
It started with a goal. He just asked, what are we actually aiming for?
And the answer is happiness. Because that sounds a little bit simple.
Well, yes and no. The word he used was eudaimonia.
Eudaimonia.
And while it's often translated as happiness, it's a bit misleading for our modern ears.
Oh.
When we say happiness today, we usually mean a mood, a feeling. Like, I had a great coffee, so I'm happy. Or my team won the game, I'm happy.
Right. It's fleeting. It's an emotional state that comes and goes with the weather.
Exactly. But eudaimonia is much deeper. It translates closer to human flourishing or living well.
Ah. Oh.
It's not a feeling, it's an activity. It's about functioning at your absolute highest capacity. Think of it less like feeling good and more like being a successful human.
So it's not just sitting on a beach with a smile on your face. It's about doing what you were made to do.
Precisely. Aristotle had this really famous idea called the function argument.
The function argument.
He said, if you want to know if something is good, you have to know its function. So look at a knife. What's the function of a knife?
To cut things. Obviously.
Right. So a good knife is one that cuts excellently. If it's dull, it's a bad knife. It doesn't matter if the handle is made of solid gold or if it has a cool shape.
If it doesn't cut, it's failing at its one job.
It's failing at being a knife. So Aristotle just applied this logic to humans. He argued that humans have a function, just like the knife.
Right.
He asked, what makes us different from, say, plants or other animals? It's not growth plants do that. It's not sensation animals have that.
It's reason. Our ability to think.
It's reason. Our function is the activity of the soul in accordance with reason.
Activity of the soul in accordance with reason. That sounds heavy.
It basically means that to be a good human, to achieve that flourishing, that eudaimonia, you have to navigate the world rationally and virtuously. You can't just react on instinct.
You have to perform your function excellently.
You do.
Wow, that feels like a lot of pressure. I can't just exist. I have to exist excellently.
Yeah.
So how do we actually get there? Because I'll be honest, I don't always feel like I'm operating in accordance with reason.
Oh, me neither.
Sometimes I'm just operating in accordance with caffeine and mild panic.
I think we all are. But this is where Aristotle gets really practical. And I think this is the key takeaway for you listening.
Okay.
Aristotle didn't believe you could just read a book on ethics and suddenly become a good person. You can't think your way into virtue. He believed in hexis.
Hexis. What's that?
It means habit or disposition. Aristotle's view was essentially the ancient Greek version of fake it till you make it.
Oh, I like that.
He said, we don't study ethics to know what virtue is, but to become good. And the only way to become good is by doing good things over and over.
Okay, so it's like you don't become a builder by reading about bricks. You become a builder by actually building something.
Exactly. That's the perfect analogy. You become just by doing just acts. You become brave by doing brave acts. It's all about habituation.
So you act your way into right thinking.
Rather than thinking your way into right acting, it's like muscle memory for the soul.
So if I force myself to be generous when I don't really feel like it, like if I write the check, even when I'm feeling a bit stingy eventually, I become a genuinely generous person.
That is the theory. The act itself shapes the character. And he had this other big idea, the golden mean, right? That virtue isn't just one thing.
Right. It's the sweet spot between two extremes. I remember this.
Yes, exactly. Take courage. It's a virtue. But if you have too little of it, what's that?
Cowardice.
Cowardice. But if you have way too much of it, if you have absolutely no fear and you just run into oncoming traffic, that's not courage.
No, that's recklessness.
It's recklessness. So virtue is the mean, the perfect balance in the middle.
It reminds me of that Benjamin Franklin story from our sources.
Yeah.
He literally made a chart to track his character habit.
He did.
He treated his own soul like a science experiment.
He absolutely did. He
Yeah.
listed out virtues like temperance, silence, order, and he would put a little black dot in a box every time he failed that day. He understood that character is a project. It's a form of engineering.
And Abraham Lincoln had that beautiful analogy for this, the one that sums up the whole Aristotelian view so perfectly.
Oh, the tree analogy. It's one of my favorites.
Mine too.
Yes. Lincoln said character is the tree and reputation is the shadow.
Grotto is what we think of it. The tree is the real thing.
Yes.
That is such a powerful image. Because we spend so much of our time and energy curating the shadow, our reputation and our social media profile, what people say about us.
We're constantly managing the shadow.
But Aristotle and Lincoln are saying, no, no, no. Water the tree.
Focus on the substance. If the tree is healthy, the shadow will take care of itself. But you can't water a shadow. If you spend all your time managing your image,
The tree dies.
the tree dies.
Okay, so if the tree is our character, let's talk about the trunk.
Right.
The core. We talk about integrity all the time, but one of our sources, Buttons as Blessings, breaks down the word itself in a way I hadn't thought about since, like math class.
The etymology is fascinating, isn't it? Integrity comes from the Latin word integer,
Sure.
which means whole or complete, like a whole number in math, 1, 2, 3, not a fraction.
So integrity isn't just about, following the rules or being a good person.
No, it's about structural soundness. It's about being the same person in the dark as you are in the light. It's about wholeness.
Right.
If you are polite to your boss, but you're rude to the waiter, you are a fraction. You are fractured. You aren't a whole integer.
Wow. This brings us to a concept from Carl Jung that was in our source material, the shadow, which is, I should point out, different from Lincoln's shadow, right?
Yes, very different. For Lincoln, the shadow was reputation. For Jung, the shadow is the part of ourselves we don't want to look at.
The messy stuff.
The buried, subconscious drivers of our behavior, the things we repressed because we were taught they were bad or unacceptable.
Like what?
Anger, jealousy, selfishness, certain desires.
And the source mentions this specific shape, the mandorla.
The mandorla, it's this ancient symbol you see in art and religion. Imagine two circles overlapping.
Okay.
One circle is your ego. That's who you think you are, your conscious self. The other circle is your shadow, all the parts you hide. The mandorla is that almond shape in the middle where they overlap.
Like a Venn diagram of the self?
Exactly like a Venn diagram. And the idea is that true integrity, true wholeness, comes from dwelling in that overlap. It's not about killing the shadow. It's about integrating it.
What does that mean, integrating it?
It means if you try to deny your shadow, it will control you from behind the scenes. It'll pop out when you're stressed or tired. Integrity is saying, okay, I am capable of being kind, and I am also capable of being cruel. I need to be aware of both and manage both.
So instead of pretending I never get jealous, integrity is admitting, okay, that feeling is part of me, and then dealing with it consciously.
Yes, because if you pretend you never get jealous, the moment you do feel it, you won't know how to handle it. You'll just lash out. Acknowledging the shadow gives you power over it and makes you a whole number again.
One of the frameworks we looked at from something called the Integrity Inventory talks about this in terms of where you're living.
Oh, I love this framework.
It's about living above the line versus below the line.
Yeah, and it gives you instant feedback on where you are in any given moment. So living above the line means you are open, you're curious, you're committed to learning.
Right.
The mindset is that life happens by you. You have agency. You're the author of your own actions.
And below the line.
Below the line is when you are defensive, you're closed off, and you're committed to being right instead of being effective.
Oof.
And the mindset there is that life happens to you. You're a victim of circumstance. He made me mad. The traffic made me late.
The economy is why I didn't get that promotion.
Exactly. It's subtle, but the shifting power is huge. I was late because of traffic versus I was late because I didn't leave early enough.
One creates a victim, the other creates an owner.
Right. And integrity in this model involves having no unsaids. That really struck me in the notes. No unfelt feelings. It's about matching your expression with your actual experience.
Can you give me an example of that? Because no unfelt feelings sounds incredibly difficult.
It is. But imagine you're at a dinner party and someone says something that really, truly offends you. But you want to be polite, right? So you just smile and say, ooh, that's interesting.
I do that all the time. It's just called being a functional adult.
We all do it. But technically, in this framework, you are out of integrity in that moment. Your internal experience, which is anger or offense, does not match your external expression, which is smiling and agreement.
You're fractured. You're not a whole integer.
You're a fraction of yourself.
Yeah.
And look, it is a very high bar, and sometimes safety requires us to smile. But the goal of this good life is to try and close that gap as much as possible, to live in a way where your outside matches your inside.
Speaking of high bars, let's look at how this is taught to kids. We have the 7th grade unit introduction on integrity, and honestly, some of these questions are tougher than the ones I asked myself as an adult.
The thought experiments in that curriculum are fantastic. There was one that just stopped me in my tracks.
Which one?
How many lies do you get to tell before you are considered a liar?
Oof, that is brutal. My immediate reaction is to just start negotiating. Well, what kind of lies? Big lies. Little white lies. Does it count if I lie about my height on a dating app?
Exactly. We immediately start to justify and create loopholes. But the question forces you to confront that identity shift. If you tell one lie, are you a liar? Probably not. If you tell 1,000.
Definitely.
But where is the line? Is it 10? Is it 50? Is it a percentage of your total statements?
It goes right back to Aristotle, doesn't it? It's the habit. It's the hexes.
Yeah.
If you lie habitually, then you are a liar.
Yeah.
The character is defined by the habit, not by the single isolated incident.
Right. And they also discuss the lens of integrity when it comes to technology. This is so crucial for anyone listening today. The question is, do you show the good, the bad, and the ugly online, or just the curated highlight reel?
And if you only show the wins, are you lying?
In a way, yes. You're presenting a fractured self, not the whole integer. You're manipulating the shadow, the reputation, while the tree, the real you, is being neglected.
You're creating a digital avatar that is happier and richer and prettier than you actually are.
And the gap between that avatar and your real self, that gap is where anxiety lives.
That is a profound insight. The gap between the avatar and the real you is where anxiety lives.
Huh.
Because you're terrified of being found out.
Exactly. But wholeness eliminates the fear of being found out because there's nothing to hide. You've integrated the shadow.
Okay, so we know the goal is flourishing. We know the core is integrity and wholeness. But there are enemies at the gate. There are things that actively try to dismantle this whole architecture. And the source material highlights a really nasty one.
Spite.
Spite.
Spite is fascinating because it's so illogical. Standard economics says humans act to maximize their own gain. I do X, I get Y amount of money, your happiness. But spite breaks that entire model.
How so?
The source we have, Are You Secretly Spiteful, calls it emotional revenge economics.
I love that phrase, emotional revenge economics.
Right.
It sounds like a bad college course you'd have to take.
It's perfect, though, because economics is about maximizing gain. Spite is the opposite. It's about harming other people, even when, and this is the key part, it costs you something.
Right, the cut off your nose to spite your face
Right.
idea.
Precisely. You are willing to lose as long as the other person loses more. It's completely irrational from a self-interest perspective.
The source lifted these 8 warning signs of spite, and I have to admit, I felt a little called out by a couple of them.
Oh, yeah. Which one stood out to you?
The sarcasm sniper.
Ah, classic.
Using banter as emotional ammunition. You say something really mean, but you deliver it with a smile and then say, "What? I was just joking. You're so sensitive."
It's plausible deniability for aggression. I didn't really mean it, but deep down you did. You wanted to get a little scratch in.
Guilty. What about for you?
For me, it was the failure celebrator. The Germans have that perfect word for it, Schadenfreude.
Shameful joy.
Yeah. It's that secret little smile you get when a colleague's project completely flops, or when that person who cut you off in traffic gets pulled over by a cop a mile down the road.
Yes.
You don't gain anything from their failure. You don't get their job. You don't get to your destination faster, but you feel good about it. That's spite.
And the guilt-free shame phenomenon. This one was nuanced. It's feeling embarrassed that you got caught.
But not actually sorry that you did
Well,
it.
exactly.
It's a total disconnect from empathy. And that's really what spite is at its core. It's an empathy disconnect mixed with this bold self-interest. You see the world as a zero-sum game. If they win, I must lose. So I'd rather we both lose.
Let's look at one of the scenarios from the text to make this more real. The broken sunglasses scenario. This really helped me visualize it.
Okay, so imagine you borrow a friend's expensive sunglasses. And you're careless, you drop them, and they shatter.
Oh, the worst feeling. The absolute worst.
Now, a spiteful response, which is probably driven by a feeling of defensive shame, would be to blame them. You hand back the broken pieces and you say, Well, you shouldn't have left them on the counter. You really should be more careful with your expensive things.
Ugh, I can hear that voice. It's so defensive. You attack the victim to avoid the blame.
Yes, you're protecting your own ego at the direct expense of the relationship.
Yep.
It's creating a maze of excuses to hide in. Now, what's the spate-free version?
It's just, I am so sorry. I broke them. That was completely my fault. I will replace them.
It's simpler.
It is so much simpler. And that connects us perfectly to the other big enemy of integrity.
Complexity.
Complexity. We have this manifesto, TWOS, the way of simplicity. And the argument here is that we overcomplicate our lives specifically to avoid the truth.
The source has a great line for it. Complexity is avoidance wearing a suit.
Avoidance wearing a suit. That's so good. We build these elaborate systems and excuses and rationalizations because the simple truth, I messed up or I'm scared or I need to do the work, is just too uncomfortable.
Think about corporate bureaucracy. Why are there so many forms and meetings and CC'd emails? Often, it's so that no single person has to take responsibility. It diffuses accountability.
So if the project fails, the system failed, not me.
Exactly.
So what is the solution? What is the way of simplicity?
The golden standard they propose is this question. What is the simplest solution that gets the job done in an excellent manner, even if it's not perfect?
I like that in an excellent manner part. It's not about being lazy or cutting corners.
No, it's about cutting out the fluff. It's about stripping away all the unsaids. The source just says, tell it like it is. Truth clears the fog.
It does.
And when you give first, you give the truth first, you give the apology first, you give the appreciation first, you stop life from being so transactional and complicated. You stop keeping score.
Keeping score is absolutely exhausting.
It's the most complex math in the entire world.
Wow.
Well, I did the dishes 3 times this week, so he owes me a foot rub and at least 2 compliments. Just stop. Just do the dishes because you want a clean house. That's simplicity.
Okay, so we have the goal, which is flourishing. We have the core, integrity. And we have the enemies, spite and complexity. Now we need the tools. How do we actually build this thing?
Right.
And that 7th grade unit gave us a great visual for this. The hill of perseverance.
It's such a simple drawing, but it's effective. It's a hill with easy steps at the bottom, and the steps get steeper and harder as you go up.
And perseverance is just keeping trying even when it gets difficult.
It sounds so basic, but it connects right back to Aristotle. You don't get the hexes, the habit of character, unless you're willing to climb that hill when it gets hard.
But climbing the hill is hard. Why do we give up so easily? One of our sources, Preach and Teach, Reach Forgiveness, uses this psychological metaphor that I think explains it perfectly.
The writer and the elephant.
The rider and the elephant.
This is a concept that was popularized by the psychologist Jonathan Haidt, and it's absolutely crucial for understanding self-control. So imagine a human rider sitting on top of a massive elephant.
Okay, got the image.
The rider represents your rational brain. It's logical, it plans ahead, it says things like, I really should go to the gym or I should tell the truth. But the rider is small. It only represents about 5% of your cognition.
And the elephant?
The elephant is your emotional implicit brain. It's the other 95% of who you are. Your instincts, your habits, your laziness, your fear, your cravings for dopamine.
So if the elephant wants to eat a donut and sit on the couch, the tiny rider doesn't stand a chance in a wrestling match.
Not a chance. The elephant is 6 tons. The rider is 150 pounds. You cannot force the elephant to do anything. To change or to persevere, you can't just talk to the rider. You have to direct the rider and motivate the elephant.
You have to make the path easy enough that the elephant doesn't get spooked and run away.
Exactly.
So how do we stop the elephant from just running on autopilot? Because my elephant loves autopilot. The source mentions using tripwires.
A tripwire is basically a signal that wakes you up. It snaps you out of that autopilot mode. And there's this fantastic story about the rock band Van Halen that illustrates this perfectly.
Ah, the brown M&M story. I always thought that was just about rock stars being divas.
A lot of people did. It's legendary. So the story is that Van Halen, back in the 80s, had a contract writer, no pun intended, that stated they needed a bowl of M&Ms backstage with absolutely no brown ones. And if they found a single brown M&M, they would trash the dressing room or even cancel the whole show.
Which sounds like pure spiteful diva behavior. I want blue, not brown. I'm a star.
But it wasn't. It was an absolutely brilliant tripwire. Van Halen was one of the first bands to have a massive, incredibly complex stage setup. Heavy pyrotechnics, high voltage electricity. It was really dangerous stuff.
Right. If the rigging was wrong, The stage could collapse. People could die.
Exactly. The contract had all these detailed safety specs, and the no brown M&Ms clause was buried deep in the middle of that dense technical safety checklist.
Ah, I see where this is going now.
If the band walked into the dressing room and saw brown M&Ms in the bowl, they knew immediately that the local promoters hadn't read the contract carefully.
It wasn't about the candy at all.
Not at all. It was a signal that they needed to do a full top-to-bottom safety check on the rigging and the electronics because a crucial detail had been missed. The brown M&M was a test of integrity.
That is genius.
Yeah.
It's a mechanism to check the integrity of the whole operation. So we need to build brown M&Ms into our own lives, signals that tell us, hey, you're drifting off course.
Exactly. Maybe your personal tripwire is a messy desk. If my desk is a disaster, it usually means my mind is chaotic. Or maybe it's snapping at your spouse over something small.
Right.
When that happens, you don't just ignore it. You stop and you audit the system. You ask, where is the brown M&M coming from? Am I tired? Am I resentful about something?
Speaking of audits, TWOS suggests doing a resource audit.
Yes. And it's a simple question. Where is my time, energy, and attention actually going? Not where I say it's going or where I wish it were going.
Oof.
We say our family is our top priority, but we spend 4 hours a day scrolling on TikTok. The audit reveals the truth.
And then making the impossible versus possible list. This one really hit home for me. We spend so much energy focusing on things like they should change or the world should be different.
Which is usually impossible. You can't control that. TWS says stop funding the impossible list with your emotional energy. It's a bad investment.
So you move that capital.
Put a possible list. I can set a boundary. I can speak my truth. I can wake up 10 minutes earlier.
Focus on what you can actually control. It sounds like stoicism, which fits right in with Aristotle.
It does.
Now we have to talk about maybe the hardest part of being a good human. Repairing the world when it breaks. Forgiveness.
Forgiveness is heavy lifting. We have a study here from the International Journal of Indian Psychology that looked at age and forgiveness.
And what did they find? Do we get better at it as we get older?
It seems so. They found that older adults, people in what they call late adulthood, are significantly more likely to forgive than younger adults.
Why do you think that is? Is it just that they're too tired to hold a grudge?
Partly, maybe. But the research suggests it's a shift in priorities. As we age, we start to value our own emotional peace over social approval or the need to be right.
Life is short.
Life is short, and holding a grudge is like drinking poison and expecting the other person to die. The study also confirms what we already know, that forgiveness reduces stress and depression. It's physically healthier to let it go.
But forgiveness can feel so vague. Like, what do you even do? The source mentions something called the RECH method.
Right, it's an acronym to make forgiveness bite-sized and practical. We don't have to go through all the steps now, but the core idea is to replace that negative, vengeful emotion with a positive one, usually empathy.
It's not about excusing the behavior.
No, not at all. It's about freeing yourself from the hook of resentment. It's really an act of self-preservation.
This raises a really important question, though. If we're always forgiving, do we just become doormats? What about self-defense? We have a fascinating thread from an Orthodox Christian community that really nuances this.
This is a critical distinction. The source discusses the tension between turning the other cheek and self-defense.
Oh.
And it references a view from St. Paisios and Elder Thaddeus.
Okay.
And the distinction is this. We should turn the cheek for personal insults. If someone insults you, your ego, your looks, your pride, you let it go. That's ego work.
Okay, but what's the line?
The line is when God or the faith, or, and this is key, others, the innocent, the weak, are being insulted or harmed, then you defend them.
There was a story about a boy in a schoolyard that illustrated this perfectly.
Yes. This boy was being bullied. The bully was insulting him personally, calling him names, and the boy just took it. He turned the other cheek. He refused to let his ego get baited. But then the bully started blaspheming, insulting the boy's faith and his God, and that is when the boy fought back.
He drew a line in the sand.
He did. And he actually won the respect of the bully. Now, it's a specific theological view, but the broader psychological lesson is about the difference between protecting your ego versus protecting something sacred.
Protecting your reputation is just vanity.
But protecting the vulnerable is justice.
That connects to the source on assertiveness versus aggression.
It does. Aggression is a fight response when a boundary is pushed. It's often about dominance. It's an I win, you lose mindset.
And assertiveness.
Assertiveness is the balance. It's stating your need or your boundary clearly without attacking the other person. It's that Aristotle mean. Again, it's right there between the cowardice of passivity and the recklessness of aggression.
Okay, we've covered a lot of human history and psychology here, but we have to look to the future. We have this study on LLM's large language models and their moral reasoning. Can AI even have integrity?
This is a mind-bending study. Researchers tested AI models like GPT-4, Claude, and Llama with these moral vignettes that are usually given to humans. They wanted to see if AI has the same moral biases we do.
And they found something called the Nobi effect.
The Nobi effect is this famous phenomenon in human psychology about how we judge help versus harm and intentionality. Here's the scenario. A CEO starts a new program just to make a profit. He says, I don't care about the environment, I just want to make money.
Okay, standard, ruthless CEO.
In case A, the program ends up harming the environment as a side effect. When you ask people, they say the CEO harmed the environment intentionally.
Right.
Even though his goal was profit, he knew it would happen and did it anyway. We blame him.
Makes sense. He's the bad guy in the story.
Now, case B. Same program, same CEO, same profit motive. But this time, the program helps the environment as a side effect. When you ask people, they say he did not help the environment intentionally.
Right, it was just an accident. He just got lucky. We don't give him credit for the good, but we definitely blame him for the bad.
Exactly. We have this blame-praise asymmetry. And the study found that the AI models show this exact same bias. They show abnormal deflation in causal judgments for the good outcomes, just like we do.
So our machines are literally picking up our messy, contradictory moral frameworks.
They're mirrors. They are trained on our data, our books, our internet arguments, our news articles, so they reflect our biases right back at us. GPT-4 and Llama align very closely with the human responses.
But there was an outlier, wasn't there?
Claude 2.1 was. It was less affected by the condition. It was a bit more consistent, or maybe just different in its training. But the implication is wild. We aren't just teaching machines language, we are teaching them our shadow.
We're teaching them our unsaids and all our moral inconsistencies.
We are.
That is slightly terrifying, but also really fascinating. It means if we want to build ethical AI, we probably need to become better humans first.
If the data source is us, we need to improve the data source.
Which brings us right back to the beginning. The architecture of a good life isn't just for us anymore, it's for the intelligence we're building.
It is.
Okay, let's synthesize this. This has been a massive deep dive.
We started with the goal, flourishing, eudaimonia, not just feeling good, but functioning well, like a sharp knife.
We looked at the core, integrity, being a whole integer, integrating the shadow, living in that mandorla, rather than hiding it and letting it rot.
We identified the enemies, spite that bizarre emotional revenge economics and complexity, which is just avoidance wearing a fancy suit.
We picked up some tools. The Hill of Perseverance, the Rider and the Elephant, and using brown M&Ms as tripwires to check our own safety systems before the whole show crashes.
We learned about the nuance of forgiveness and justice, turning the cheek for the ego, but standing up for what's sacred.
And we just saw that even our AI is watching us, learning our moral habits, for better and for worse.
It's a pretty comprehensive architecture.
So what does this all mean for you listening right now? Where do you even start?
I think it comes right back to that Lincoln quote. Character is the tree. Reputation is the shadow.
Right.
We live in a world that is completely obsessed with the shadow. Social media, personal branding, the curated self we talked about earlier. It is so easy to spend all your energy, all your water on the shadow.
You can spend your whole life just managing what people think of you.
But you can't water a shadow.
No, you can't.
It doesn't grow. If you want the shadow to be impressive, the tree has to be big and healthy.
Yeah.
And the tree only grows with those boring, hidden habits. The hexes, the simple choices.
The spite-free reactions when you break the sunglasses.
The moments when you choose the possible list over the impossible list.
That is the takeaway. Stop watering the shadow. Water the tree.
And keep it simple. Remember that TWOS standard? What is the simplest solution that gets the job done in an excellent manner? Just start there.
I love that. And hey, if you find yourself squirming a little bit during the spite section or the integrity inventory,
That's good.
that's good. That's the tripwire.
That's the brown M&M in your bowl. Pay attention to it. It means there's something there worth integrating.
Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the architecture of a good life. It has been a pleasure unpacking all of this with you.
Likewise. It's always good to check the foundation.
If you enjoyed this episode of The Deep Dive and the whole Learn English Easy experience, maybe take a moment today to do just one thing on your possible list. Just one small thing.
And check your own integrity inventory. How many lies do you get to tell?
Don't answer that out loud, just think about it. Thanks for listening. We'll see you in the next deep dive.
Goodbye.